Hmm.
Do you like my background? I set up my phone on the base of the globe on the desk downstairs
I saw the global
because
background
I'm a genius.
that the entire world is supporting us.
Actually, it's that we are, in fact, supporting the, we're like Atlas. Think how miserable life would be if we weren't here.
Gosh, I don't even want to think about it. If
I know.
killed, it would roll right off the table.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice both ways, though. It's good to be supported by the entire globe,
So
not
true.
just the theater, but the whole place, the earth.
Yes, the whole place and all 8 of our listeners.
Yeah. I can count my listeners on both hands. Oh man.
I think we probably ought to do just a brief listener update just for kicks.
Yeah, it's like how people list their like Patreon
Yeah,
like at the end they're like, thank you to my patrons, and it has their names running on. We could do that, but it's so quick because it's only 8 people.
yeah. We have to make the font really, really big so it takes up a lot of like space.
Yeah.
Yeah. John, our one and only. Thank you.
Woo!
Thank you to Ollie's parents. Woo! Thank you especially to Rhett and Link. Thank you to Brice, my one English professor. Thank you. I have Naum 36 written on our list of listeners. Thank you to them. Thank you to Steve Carnell, and thank you, of course, to Gabe.
Carnell. Woo! Everyone take a bow. If you're listening, take a bow. Yeah, that's really good.
Praise. Give yourselves a pat on the back. Has anyone ever done that in sincerity? Like, I'm so proud of myself. It feels uncomfy.
No, I've done like a brush off the shoulder, but that's a totally different vibe. That's like when you're proud of yourself, but like you're cool about it.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone's ever done that. I also don't think I've ever congratulated someone with a pat on the back.
No. That's from when they were wearing shoulder pads still.
Oh,
Because that's
yeah.
what it was, like a cushion, you know?
Hmm. Now it'd be too dangerous to pat somebody on the back because I'm so strong.
Locate their shoulders. And
They'd
that's not,
get they'd get scared.
it caused more problems than it's worth.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm. And I've always said that.
Hmm. That's true. That's certified Whitney D. Moore Stevens. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Should we start with a prayer
So
today?
yeah, we might as well. It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon. Um, I have thought of 2 of the letters of STEM,
Goody. I hadn't even thought of that.
and they're like not words, they're whole phrases, you know?
I like that. Okay.
So the S is for strange old men. And the T is for tax fraud. Which is kind of true.
Everyone's in cahoots.
Everyone's in cahoots.
Mean old.
Mean old lady. Yeah, that's really good. Strange old men, tax fraud, everyone in cahoots, mean old lady. Those are 4 major elements of the plot of this movie.
This is already my favorite title we've ever done.
We've done it. Yeah, this is awesome. This is maybe second only to the backup title that we had that was just Spider-Man Technology, Engineering, Mathematics, because that's just clean. That's just simple and very funny.
Which we upgraded to be Spider-Man Technology Engineering Miguel for some reason, disregarding completely, is Miles.
We made it a whole big like alphabet soup thing, which was funny in its own right. But this, I do feel like this title has been, this is the fastest we've come up with it. It's nice and clean. It totally fits with the movie.
the most
We're
naturally.
on a roll.
Yeah.
We are on a roll. This is gonna be awesome.
Yes. Fine has begun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So anyway, hello and welcome to Women in STEM. Today we will be discussing Waking Divine, the movie. And I couldn't have introduced that any better.
Today are Women in STEM, the STEM standing for Strange Old Men, Tax Fraud, Everyone's in Cahoots, and Mean Old Lady.
Mean Old Lady. I was doing like the short skirt, long jacket backup vocals for you. Good dividends. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I took my notes in chronological order. Did I ever send that picture to you?
Yes, you did. I'll pull it up now.
Okay, cool. So we could go through it in chronological order. That might be easiest because there's not really like a lot of different themes to pick out since it's an hour and a half comedy.
Yeah.
There's pretty much just like a few major points that they're making and that's it.
As in, stealing thing is okay.
Stealing thing is okay if everybody agrees.
And you're a very nice man.
Yeah, it's okay if you're stealing. If it's what he would have wanted.
Yeah.
There was something else I was gonna say too. Oh yeah, this movie would score very high on the Fast and Furious family score.
FF score is the Fast and Furious score, which considers how big of a role family plays in the plot of said rodent movie, and if it's executed well or pisses me off.
From Michael S. Microphone.
Yes.
Because that is like the theme, right? Is like, oh, that Ned was such a nice person that would have provided for everybody in the village if he'd had the chance. And so the whole thing of them coming together as a community is very family, right? And then also with like Maggie and her son and all her different, like, that's also like very specifically like actual nuclear family. So it works in both ways.
That's definitely true. First, let's give a brief summary of the film. It's, like she said, a very, very short, adorable comedy. It's about two men that hear that someone in their very, very small village of about 50 people has won the lottery, and they're so excited, and they think, we're going to cozy up to the winner, and then they're going to share their winnings with us. Come to find out, the actual winner is dead.
Oh, no.
And so then they're like, well, this is perfect. We'll just pretend to be him and claim the winning.
Yeah. It's not we. The thing is specifically not we will do it, but that Jackie, who's a storyteller and an actor and a liar, will do it because he could be convincing. And Michael will go along with it because he's not good at pretending and lying. And he's scared and he's so nervous.
Of everything.
And so
sweetest man
they're like, yeah, so they're like, well, Jackie will pretend to be Ned so that he can claim the winnings. But then, oh no, something goes awry, in which tax collector / lotto guy official man meets Jackie. And he's like, hey, I'm in from out of town. Do you happen to know Ned? And Jackie panics, and instead of saying, I'm Ned, he's like, I sure do. I've known him all my life. I'll lead the way to his house. So then Michael, overhearing, is like, and he has to go to Ned's house and pretend to be Ned, and Jackie has to stall the tax collector for as long as he can to buy Michael time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then because it just kind of spirals out of control, they have to get the whole village in on it. Again, about 50 people. And they say, let's just split the winnings 50 ways. Because originally, only about 500,000 that he won. And that was enough. The shock of winning that was enough to kill Ned. But turns out they actually won something like 6 million, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then everybody gets, what'd you say, 130 something thousand?
Yeah, I think so.
For everybody.
Life-changing amount of money for everybody.
Yeah. And so that's it sounds like dark and a little bit grim, but it is the funniest, most heartwarming film you'll ever watch. It's utterly
Yeah, it's so nice. Like it's nothing but like charming and positive and engaging the whole time.
yeah, fall in love. You know every character so intimately. Like they're
Yeah,
introduced so well. They're just such strong, lovable characters. Every single one of them. Really,
yeah,
really.
that's true. And that's
I
something when
like.
we
I have
were,
nothing but positive.
yeah, me too, me too. This is a cinema wins situation. Um,
But it's
but
just
something
really.
that we were talking about, like when we rewatched it, meaning we listened to the audio while we were in the car. Um, but that's one of the things that we like picked up on right away is that like everybody's character introduction is so like perfect, so we know exactly who they are and what they're about like from the get-go, which is especially helpful because it is like a short film and there's not a lot of time to explain everything. Not a short film, but like it's less than 2 hours. So there's not a lot of time to really get into the details of people's life like over time. You kind of have to do it right away. But they like immediately straight out the gate, like they're like, this is what the tone of the movie is going to be. And here's our main character, Jackie, and he's like tricking his wife into bringing his pie into the room by telling her that they're winning the lottery.
And despite being married for, presumably several decades, she falls for it.
Yeah.
Also slaps him immediately after she figures it out. You know their dynamic. You know exactly how they work
you
together.
know who they are, yeah, separately and together, which is awesome and good.
Mm-hmm.
Then that just continues throughout the whole rest of the movie. You see Jackie talking to Michael and you're like, oh, these are lifelong best friends, and Jackie usually kind of takes the lead in social situations and Michael's a little more reserved, but he's such a sweetheart, and then like literally every character that you meet is so well defined right from the beginning.
Absolutely. Hi, Ian.
Hello. Diek.
We're podcasting.
That's cool. That's Whitney. She says hi. He says hi.
Ian, I'm watching Bahubali tonight with some friends.
She's hosting a Bahubali watch party tonight with her friends. She wants you to know. He says, oh, Pog. Is that right now that you mean? Okay. Bye.
Bye.
I don't know if he came down here for a reason. He just came down and said, did you know we're having steak? But not right now. So that's cool.
He's a fun person.
He is.
Yeah.
That's true. I've learned that more and more over the years. When you like grow up and realize that your family members are people.
Yeah. I just
yeah.
That I was like, my brother's actually kind of fun to hang out with.
Yeah. Like you don't just have fun to hang out with him because there's like no choice. Like when you're a kid, you like only have your siblings, so then you're like, well, whatever. But it's nice to be friends on purpose with your siblings.
Damn, this shit's kind of funny. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm actually gonna tell this story real quick because I feel like if I were making my life, this would be the perfect interaction between like my brother and I.
Ooh, okay, perfect. So speaking of perfect character introductions.
Yeah, this is what I would do. He once asked for a drink. I had a Maverick cup, big 44 ounce. I had just filled it up. It was fresh, and we were driving away from the gas station. He said, please, can I have a drink of that? Actually, what he said was, can I have a crunch of that? Because that's what he says to get it.
Because he's weird. Yeah.
Bite of that, or can I have a nibble?
Yeah.
What? But yeah, that's what he says. So I was like, yeah, sure, here you go. And you could see him making a split-second decision as he took it that was not in his eyes before. But as he took the cup, his eyes filled with a green light, and he went, and he took the whole straw and chomped it and sucked it up and spat out the straw in a tangled ball that landed on the middle console of the car. And then he said, thanks, that was good. And then put the cup back in the cup holder and turned back to face. And I had to pull over and park the car because I could not stop laughing. I thought I was going to pee my pants. And so that's
one of my favorite stories of Neil. And I told, oh, for any listeners who don't know, we both have a younger brother whose name is Neil. Hers is with an A and mine is with an I. And so I told my Neil about that incident, or maybe you did when you were staying here, or I don't know. But I think I told my Neil about that incident, and he was like, that's the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. You can see the like cogs turning of like, he's like imagining the original scenario, but then kind of imagining how he could incorporate that into his own life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so surreal. And it was such an unexpected, random event. What made it funnier was that it was completely unplanned. It really was for the copy said, I know what I have to do.
But I don't know if I have the strength to do it. It's so funny. Just because you like would never expect that to happen. Ever. Like it's pretty common to be like, oh hey, can I have some of that, you know?
Yeah.
But it's very uncommon for somebody to like have a quick sip of your drink or a quick bite of your food, but go like absolutely nuts and go bananas over it. Like it's so funny to me.
Feral.
Yeah.
I think my favorite part about it too is like it doesn't ruin the drink, you know. But it
kind of ruined the straw, but that's about it.
Not like you know, pour the drink out. Like it's not a disaster that you're super irritated about, or it's not like he spit in the drink, you know. Things that would be actually like super irritating. I'm like, come on, you know, I spent money on that, but like just ruining the drink's still fine, but utter chaos on the lid, you know. It was the perfect like encapsulation of, you know, confuse, don't abuse, or whatever that came from, you know.
Yeah.
It's so completely odd, but harmless, you know? And that's good.
And that was the moment that you discovered your brother was a real person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, hell, all right. I can vibe with this.
That's really funny.
That's funny, by the way.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, siblings by chance, friends by choice, or whatever.
Yeah.
How that saying goes. I always thought it was like so cheesy, but I like couldn't be mad at it because it is true. I'm like, dang it.
You could always, I don't know, you can't get emancipated from your siblings, can you? So I was gonna say you know, not siblings by choice, like actively choosing not to be siblings, but you can't. There's no legal way to do that.
I don't think that you really can, technically. Although, have you ever read that book, Chickens in the Headlights?
No.
It's so funny. It's this guy comes from like a big like Mormon family. It's like they have like 7 boys that are all 2 years apart. Anyway, so it's like a memoir kind of where he keeps a journal in his young age, and he calls it the Book of Injustices. And it's essentially anytime his brothers do something that annoy him or that he thinks is unfair, or, you know, all of these things, he'll write it down in this journal to like get his feelings out, but then also so that when he gets to the end, he has proof to show to his parents that he should be emancipated from his brothers. He's like 10 or 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's so funny. So he like goes through the whole thing. So then the book, Chickens in the Headlights, like the memoir, is based off of like finding the Book of Injustices again as an adult and like reading through these scenarios that are like so funny and like so unhinged. It's like, this is awesome. Like write it down. It's so good.
I think the most accurate depiction of like siblings and familiar relationships comes from Malcolm in the Middle. It's this show, but like
such a funny show.
Ever captured the utter chaos of growing up in the same house as, you know,
with other people all the time.
Yeah, it's insane. I was reading a Twitter thread.
Awesome.
You know, the wackest things they did as siblings that they're like, I should be institutionalized for that. But that's just for siblings to do, you know?
Yeah. It's like that. I think there's like a Tumblr post that's like from an only child that'll be like, people who grow up with siblings will be like, what do you mean you never played Nine Knives or whatever? I don't remember what the phrase is that they use, but it was something like that, where it's
Yeah.
like I can try my best to understand what it would be like to be an only child and like hear somebody's stories of growing up with siblings and being like, what? But since I did grow up with siblings and like a lot of cousins, like I have a big family of cousins, like a lot of whom were my age or older cousins, younger cousins, whatever, like you kind of understand the dynamic of like, oh yeah, that's totally normal. Only nine? Like, yeah.
My dad once played a game with his siblings where every Halloween and every Easter, him and his older brother Steve would go to their younger brother Daniel, and they'd say, Dan, let's see who can eat all of their candy fast. And Dan, being young and stupid, would eat all of his candy immediately as fast as possible. And then you get to the end of the bucket and he'd be so sick and near tears, but he did it. He beat his brothers. And then they'd say like, ha, now we have candy and you don't, and we're not sharing, bitch.
Yeah.
Like, but this happened every holiday, every year, their whole childhood, and like he never caught on.
Yeah.
Anyway, like
I remember that story.
Yeah.
Also, because didn't you call him Dumuel for a while?
Call him Dumuel?
Yeah, instead of Daniel.
Yeah. It's called him Dumuel now.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So, what a time to be alive,
What a time. Waking Ned?
Yeah, you've heard of that movie.
I have, actually. I just watched it recently.
Oh, no way, me too. It's such a good one. I always love to like rewatch it. Just, if you're looking for something kind of casual, lighthearted.
Yeah. It never gets
old. If you only have 2 hours or less, the
ideal
movie for that. Yes. This is true. A movie has to be really good to justify being more than 2 hours long.
And that is absolute fact. As far as there are very few movies that actually achieve it. The most recent one I watched being Across the Spider-Verse.
True. Woo! I actually recently watched that as well. Just yesterday. Again. Yeah.
How was it
the third time? For me. The third time for me. But it was the first time for us going together. That'd be crazy.
Keep going.
Yeah. We're like, I don't have any other ideas. I guess let's just go to the movie. So Waking Ned, a wonderful story about strange old men, tax evasion, etc.
Everyone's in cahoots and mean old lady.
And there is mean old lady.
Let's
talk about mean old lady. Because something that we thought was important is that a lot of the time in a lot of different movies, there's this kind of stereotype of there being like one disabled character in a movie who also happens to be like one, if not the only bad guy of the movie. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of lame because it kind of gives you like a bad impression about people with disabilities, which is simply not true. If an evil person also is disabled, those are two separate parts of who they are. But what we like about this movie is there's the one mean old lady. She's absolutely a villain. Everyone in the community like has to deal with her, but they call her a witch. They probably would to her face, and she's a bad person anyway. She doesn't really walk. She's in like one of those automated like wheelchairs,
scooters.
Yeah. But then at the end of the movie, when she's at her height of antagonism, she's like trying to push her little like electric scooter up a hill and it like dies. So she just stands up, pushes it over, kicks it, swears at it, and just keeps walking up the hill like it's no big deal. So then it's like, why have you been in the wheelchair the whole time if you didn't even need it, right? So it's instead of the thing being that like she's a villain and it somehow ties into a disability, she's so much of a villain that she'll pretend not to be able to walk just to not have to work as hard and other people can do stuff for her. And the whole movie, like, it's again not a very long movie, but it's so well done in terms of characterization that you can tell the whole movie that she is constantly manipulating people into doing more for her than they would for other people, or like than she actually needs, because she could do it for herself, but she doesn't want to. And this includes when they're trying to, for point E, trying to get everybody in on it. She won't go in on it because she's like, oh, if I report this, I will earn more money. Therefore, instead of being a good member of the community where everybody gets a share of this money, we all become richer and we all become closer through this bonding experience of evading the law. I am going to be so law abiding. I ruin it for everybody else just so that I can get more money than they would. Because she's a crazy person.
She's a crazy person. And that proves two things that I think are, prominent themes throughout the movie, is that niches, where do they end up? Ditches, baby. They all end up in ditches. And you'll see how that goes. But also, actually, that's just the one thing that I wanted to. That's the prominent theme throughout the film.
There's two main themes of this movie. One of them is family, and the other one is snitches get stitches, and that's that on that.
And crime is okay. Again,
crime is okay. Actually,
crime is okay.
Point number 3: crime is okay.
Crime is okay.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes being a law-abiding
people together
is lame.
Is worse. Yeah. Another thing too is that you actively see
things
Lizzie
that are
taking
legal
advantage
are
worst. But it's funny, like throughout the film, like we've said, everyone is so very well established, and it's also very well established that everyone in town is hurting for money. No one's cripplingly poor, but also everyone's in need of extra cash. Everyone needs it. It's something that could be so life-changing and help everyone in such a prominent way. And Lizzie is the one that we continually see, taking advantage of that. There's a scene where she goes to buy bread from the local post office. And like I said, everyone is kind of hurting
Which
for
is
cash.
A funny place to buy it.
It's fun. It's a funny place to buy it.
And I think that
that's where they buy everything. That's where they buy milk.
The reason that nobody is like completely destitute is because they all have to rely on each other. Right. Which is like, again, this theme of like family and community. They're very tight knit.
Yeah. But Lizzie, she demands 2 fresh loaves of bread for half the price, claiming that they're stale and old, and that's what she deserves anyway. And the
even though they were baked yesterday,
they were baked fresh. The woman, she just got the news of having a grandchild, and she's clearly worked very hard to, help the people around her and all this stuff. And Lizzie doesn't think about that. She doesn't acknowledge that this woman might, benefit from her paying full price for the loaves. It's Lizzie who deserves fresh bread for half the price because they're stale. Like, she's continually taking advantage of the systems that are in place to help people who have actual disabilities and actual poverty, actual needs, and other people who are hurting in similar ways. And another thing too that we wanted to point out too is that people who use mobility aids often can walk. They use them for momentary assistance. That's not what this is. It's not like, oh well, she can walk, she doesn't need the wheelchair at all. It's that she's actively using it, she's taking advantage of it when she doesn't need it. Like the scene where she pushes it over and kicks it and marches up the hill she
hikes up a hill for like 2 miles and she's fine. Like, it's a different thing from like using a mobility aid so that you can save your energy for another moment when you might need to walk. It's a different thing, and it's clearly just her, like you said, exploiting these systems that are in place for the benefit of the whole community, but she doesn't care about the whole community. She just cares that the community will benefit her.
Absolutely. Another fun little group of characters, a little side plot that we have going on throughout the movie is with Maggie and a pig farmer, and I actually can't remember his name at the moment. Finn. Oh, that's right. Finn.
This cute little like romantic scene. They're out in the woods and they're like flirting. It's like a will they, won't they, whatever. And then he says her name so softly and slowly, and she says his back, but it's only one syllable. She has to drag it out. It's so funny.
It's good.
Hi.
Did he come down the stairs?
Yeah.
I didn't see him. That's fascinating. Was he? How did he do that?
She said, "Did he come down the stairs? I didn't see him. He's fascinating." I think you just were talking, so you missed it.
Maybe.
That's funny though. Ian, you remember Maggie and Finn from Waking Ned? Do you have any thoughts about them? Okay. That's fine. I'm just wondering.
Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe he.
No thoughts.
Then get out.
That's just the end of the recording.
Thanks for listening.
How close? Okay. Anyway, he came down and said, "We're close." And I was like, "Aw." But of course he's talking about steak, but like still.
Yeah, well, we were just talking about how close siblings can be.
Yeah. Apparently pretty close to steak.
As that always true.
Yeah. Maggie and Finn, I love them so much. What we made
really
in our
cute.
When we were watching the movie and we were like taking notes on things to talk about, we put Maggie and Finn quote problem, because they have this hilarious problem in this relationship of why they can't be together, and it's just that like Maggie doesn't like pigs, and Finn is a pig farmer, and she's like, "I am so in love with you, I'd marry you tomorrow, but the issue is you kind of smell like a pig." And that's it. That's the only thing.
That's their whole problem. They've clearly been in love with each other for years. This is another thing we were talking about, the character dynamics. You can tell instantly what their relationship is. Like they're have so much
friends
history.
And lovers, and they have a lot of history. And even she has a son who's like 10 or something, and he like thinks that it might be his son, right? So they clearly have been in a relationship for at least 10 years. He treats him as his own son, even though he's not sure, and like Maggie won't say yes to marrying him. Yeah, they go way back, and they have a lot of love for each other. If it weren't for the pigs.
It's just such a silly problem to have. Yeah. And throughout the film, he keeps trying all these different fruity soaps to make him smell good. And there's even a fun little like half love triangle where this like wealthier man in town is also kind of flirting with Maggie a little bit, and he's like, "I could take care of her. I could, I don't smell." And it's cute. It's lighthearted. It's funny because compared to the thought of going to federal prison for impersonating a dead man for his lottery winnings, the stakes of who's Maggie going to end up with shouldn't seem that important, but they do. It's fun. They're
like more important. You're like, they probably won't go to jail, but is she going to marry Finn? Like, it seems like a way bigger deal.
His father.
Yeah. Then people need to. We want answers.
We want answers.
Like,
yeah.
Oh, it's so awesome.
It's
and what
really charming.
What I love about like the dynamic between Finn and this other man is like they're like they should be enemies and they should hate each other, right? But it's just like everybody knows that they're both kind of vying for Maggie's hand, and they're all chill with it. They're like, who cares?
The wonderful thing is you can tell it's because they both genuinely do care about Maggie and her son. It's not a competition of who's the better man, who is going to end up with her. It's I would love the opportunity to take care of this woman because she is so special and she means a lot to me. And, there's no resentment when they do eventually end up together. No spoilers. It's just everyone's so supportive and kind and loving of each other and loving of Maggie and the son. It's, there's no fun little plot twist where we find out the rich guy is actually super evil. He's not. He's just
he's super chill.
He's a good guy.
And Maggie ends up with Finn, and he's like, well, yeah, exactly. Like, there's nothing more you can do. And I love that, like, again, this is such a tight knit community, and they all have a lot of history together. but they still all have a lot of respect for each other outside of the witch, Lizzie.
Because as we've mentioned, she is comically evil. She has no redeeming qualities whatsoever.
She goes to like visit them. They have everybody like sign in like Jackie's journal or something, like sign their name that they won't tell the tax collector that he's not Ned. And like she goes to visit them and like looks at everybody's name and is like, You're like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Chill out. She's so mean about it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But anyway, what I was saying, I think, was that you know that they're all going to be fine, right? Like at the end of the movie, Maggie can pick whoever.
Yeah.
And she'll be okay because the community is still going to support her in whichever decision she makes.
Yeah.
Which could just be like staying single and now she has enough money to raise Morris. And they're like, yay, you have enough money to raise Morris. This was our intention, you know? Like they'd be fine.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Really, really just a wholesome movie. I also, kind of changing subjects a little bit, I love Ned Devine as a character, as a concept. This man has like 2 lines in the movie, which he doesn't actually say. Jackie has a dream about him.
Jackie has a vision of him, yeah.
Yeah, where he's like eating a chicken dinner and he's like, Jackie, are you sure you don't want some? Like, I'm happy to share. You should have some of this. Which Jackie then takes to mean, Ned wants me to have his fortune. But then, you know, he realizes, like, Ned actually, he would want everybody to share.
He wants to share.
He would want the entire community to share in this. Hello.
Hello. Yay! You know who else wants to share their dinner?
Your dad?
My dad.
Yes! Steak.
Steak. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you going to
I
eat
love
now?
Ned Devine. I love that his last name is Devine.
Yeah.
It's so cute. Like, it's just like a very like Irish old man name, but it's also like, it's perfectly fitting for the movie because the only time you see him interacting with somebody is in this like dream that's like a vision of him in the afterlife. Light. Yeah, where he's like, sit down with me. Come eat some dinner with me. Like, I really want to share with you.
Yeah.
And that's like the spirit that everybody takes through. Everybody in the community is like, actually, this is what Ned would want. Like, we should be sticking together.
Yeah. Not in a selfish way. It started out that way. It started out as, what can I get from other people? But then it turned into, I love this community. I love the people in it. They've gotten to know each other. And they're so, this is genuinely what Ned would have wanted. It's not an excuse of like, oh, he probably would have wanted this. Ned was such an incredibly kind, generous man. And that's all anyone has to say about him. Whenever anyone brings up Ned, they say he is the kindest man. He is the most wonderful person. And they all mean it from their bones. Of all the people in that community to have won the lottery and actually would have shared it, it was Ned. So of course it makes perfect sense that they're like, this is, we're going to take this gift that we've been given, even if it means impersonating Ned. They know what he valued, and he valued love and community and camaraderie.
Yeah. It's funny. It's just like a quick little like kink in the plot that like, oh, he had to die, like it's not like this. They're like, the only way to get from what Ned would have wanted to like, actualizing that, we have to like impersonate him. How inconvenient,
Yeah.
Yeah. So awesome.
Yeah, it's so good. And I love too, they have I might cry thinking about it. I'm having a really weird day today, but
that's okay.
At the moment, yeah, it's
this
just
is
such
a
an
safe space.
movie.
It always has been. All 8 of our viewers will
always has.
Yeah. Wait, this is a safe space. That's dumb.
That's they have, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I just noticed the apartment complex next to me has a pool.
You got to make friends with somebody in that complex.
but I could just break in. I have a lock picking set.
That's true.
It takes me about 20 minutes, so it'd be kind of uncomfortable. I'm like, oh, excuse me, let me just move this stuff. You can go on in. I'm just gonna sit here.
They're like, did you want to come in? And you're like, no, that's okay.
I'll figure it out.
They close the door, and then you go back to picking the lock, even though they offer it. You're invited. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty
anyway, I love the tribute that the town does for Ned. You know, as they're waiting for the government man to come in and inspect everything and check with the community to make sure he really is Ned, which he's not. He's Michael. But they're having a funeral for Ned. They're burying him, and Jackie gets up to do the service. And he sees the tax guy in the back of the room, and he's like, oh no, we're burying Ned, but I can't say Ned because he's supposed to be Ned. So I'm burying Michael instead. And he gives this a lovely, wonderful, stirring tribute to his best friend. And it also applies to Ned. You know, it applies to both men, but he's speaking to Michael, a man who has been through everything with him, who has stood up for him and stuck with him through all his shenanigans and his tomfoolery and whatnot. And they just love each other so much. And then at the end, they make sure because
the funeral scene from Ned Devine is like genuinely one of the most like heartfelt moments in any media. It's so sweet.
Yeah.
I do love that they still give, since they have to replace Ned with Michael during that because the tax collector's there, then later they like still pay their respects, like you're saying, like just to Ned. Exactly. They like drink a toast to him, and they give a little glass to Morris the child, you know, because he's Irish, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And
so touching.
So it's so touching. It's so beautiful.
Like, I challenge anyone to watch that last scene and not choke up. They're standing on an Irish cliff, all with tears in their eyes,
and it's so dawn, beautiful,
toasting to the man. Like, everyone else can go home. That gave them
like basically a new life, you know.
Yeah.
Through his, and I just love that. Yeah, just the last thing I was going to say, just the fact that it's called Waking Ned or Waking Ned Devine, depending on whether you watch it in the UK or the US. It's just such a funny, like, it's an interesting name of it, right? Because Ned, like, has, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I mean, I do, but I forgot it. Where he has kind of come alive in the heart of everybody in the community, right? So it's like the name of Ned or Ned Devine becomes less his name and more the name of like their whole goal of like lifting each other up as a community, right? So they're waking Ned. So that's nice. It's like a Bahubali type thing, you know, where like his name lives on as a symbol instead of just a man. Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah. Anything else you wanted to add before I go eat my steak?
No, you should go eat your steak. I hope you enjoy it so much.
Thank you.
Everyone should watch this movie.
Chat today. Everyone should watch this movie.
It was brief. We have a lot more to say about it. If we ever have, time, we could. But it's a short film.
We'll do a part 2.
It's fairly simple. It's good. It's downright. It's just a simple, good, homemade meal. It's steak and potatoes, baby.
It is.
It's stew. It's hearty.
It's a nice hearty stew. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's just perfect. It hits the spot and it's short and sweet. And I think it's nice that this episode has been kind of shorter. It kind of goes in line with like we've said everything we need to say, and now we're done. And the evil woman, something happened, and then that's the end of the movie. You know?
No. Yeah. Well, anyway, here's to Ned Devine.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, have fun.
Thank you.
Tell everybody hi and enjoy your steak.
I will. Thanks for talking.
Thanks.